So for the soapers out there, how many of you have actually done an Amy Warden Soap challenge? Because I'm starting to see just a few challenges into this project. I'm starting to realize why I have spent doll hairs on the tutorials every month for like 6 years and have never actually submitted anything. Because the name of the game, it seems, for the soap challenge is tedious and complicated. Not necessarily complicated, but just tedious. And I don't have time for that. But we're doing another Amy Warden Soap challenge thing today. And it's it's cool. I'm going to show you. It's a thing. Yeah, absolutely. But before I tell you more about the challenge, what we're doing, what we're scenting it with, all of the jazz, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things. And yeah, you are here for day 283 of 365 days of soap, and we are doing another Amy Warden Soap Challenge. We are taking on the rimmed soap. Now, rimmed soaps, I have shown you on the channel before. I showed you in rectangular form, right? For like the Neapolitan ice cream thing back in the summertime. And they're cool. They're very visually stunning. They really are. It's very gorgeous to have a nice like swirled outside of a soap with a solid color inside. And it's a slam dunk. It's beautiful. The thing is, making a rimmed soap, especially in circular form, is no easy task, my friends. And yeah, no, actually, I will go ahead and say that this is one of the few challenges that are actually just legitimately complicated, over tedious. And so, yes, rimmed soaps, they can be temperamental. You definitely have to pay attention to the types of oil that you're using, whether or not you gel, you should gel. And when you actually either cut or roll, depending on what you decide to do for your rimmed soap, to get it ready for the soap that you pour inside of the soap tube that you've created, really. Now, we will be continuing on with the Nurture Soap reviews of their soap scents, and we are using, I think, like Star Showers, I think is the name of it today. So we will play with that. It doesn't say that it accelerates or discolors or does anything weird, so I shouldn't expect any weirdness within the pour itself for the soap. However, this is the type of soap where the actual fluidity of the batter for both pours, because it's a 2-pour process, right? Doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. You don't need a whole lot of time to work with your soap batter for this. You just need your first batch of soap to be pliable enough to actually form into a circle, so then you can pour a fresh batch inside. It's all a thing. And again, one of the few soap challenges that I can say, yeah, this is legitimately just complicated. So let's go check it out. Today's my day, and let's go see, how I did in the whole rimmed soap thing. So the rimmed soap challenge, that's it's fun. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that for the rim, you are making the right size of soap to, turn into a circle, really. And so this particular mold is good widthwise, but it's not super good lengthwise. As you can see, we've got some extra room there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap a random block of wood to use as my bracer in plastic wrap and just
put it up there. So that's cool. You can also get out a tape measure, right? And like measure around the soap and figure that out proper like. But you know, this works too. Because I happen to have a liner that I'm going to use for this. And normally I don't use the brambleberry lined molds, but I usually use PVC pipe. But you know, because this liner is there, it actually works out better for the molding of the rim. Now, with the soap challenge, actually, this was what you're supposed to do for rim soaps is not what I'm doing. And also, I don't think it's what Georgia May is doing. I don't think she's doing it that way either. But first up, we are preparing our colorants for the whole thing. And it is the color palette that I'm using for this is just very cold and icy and really spoke to me. That's it right there. And so that's what I am doing for the colors for the rim. So yay. And yeah, that is what we're going with. But for the soap challenge, Amy Warden says that you should like make a slab of soap and then like plane it, right? And that makes sense because the bottom part of the slab, it's kind of ugly and it's not really what you, sure, but I'm not gonna plane it. I don't actually have a planer that will cut off the top of like a big old slab. And I've never really much found a reason to have one except for rim soaps, and I don't like rim soaps. They're not fun for me. I've done some cool rim soaps over the years, but for the most part, it's just, ugh. So we're not going to do that. Instead, what we are going to do is we are going to pour a 1 pound batch of soap using oils that are easily malleable, right? So it'd be very similar to a recipe that we would use for like a soap dough, for example. So like high in, well, you know, like malleable oils really. So high in castor oil and coconut oil and cocoa butter to make it sort of bendy. And so that's what we are working on today for that as far as the soap rim goes. And we are using Nurture Soap's Star Showers for this guy. And I like this blend actually. It's a pretty lovely blend. And let's see what it says on the Nurture Soap website for this guy. Let's check it out. It says it is a unisex blend, which is good because with this new thing that we're doing for the releasing just new products every month, and when they're gone, it's important that we have some unisex scents in there for sure. And this one is, oh, it's also a Lush dupe. So it says it's a Lush dupe of Supernova. And it is a unisex blend of effervescent grapes with light nuances of rose and geranium on a background of patchouli, orange, lime, and warm musk. So there you go. It's nice. It's a nice scent. It definitely smells like Lush. So if you're into that sort of thing, you know, cool. I don't know. This might actually be the reason why I have not used Nurture Soap. Now that, you know, because we've been trying to figure out why I haven't used Nurture Soap. And so that's part of like the first month essentially of the soap challenge stuff is we're just going to use Nurture Soap scents and see, you know, what we think of them. But this might actually be the reason I don't like them, because now that I'm looking at it, they have a lot of Lush dupes. And I mean, I don't really hate Lush. I love what Lush has done for the soap making community in general, right? Because you have made it easier essentially for all the rest of us. You've done all the marketing and spent all the money to, you know, make bath bombs cool and solid bubble bath cool and even handmade soap cool. But they started to lose their way several years ago with when their packaging changed, as well as their idea of like natural. Like they're not natural, and they don't say that they're natural. They say that they have fresh ingredients, right? But their customers say they're natural, and then they don't correct them, because why would you? My customer said it, we didn't say it. And so there's that. But they were actually recently in the news for contributing money to some like anti-trans platform thing. And so now I'm like, oh God, gross. I mean, regardless of what your opinions and your political stances are, I don't really know that businesses should ever be taking a stance. But at the same time, I guess that's really hypocritical because I donate to GLAAD every year, and I don't, so all the things. But yeah, no, that they were in the news for some not cool things, and so I'm not okay with that. But that's just happened, and so my steering clear of nurture, I think, has more to do with the fact that there's just a lot of Lush dupes in their line. And I think I mean, even now it still happens all of the time. New people will walk into the shop and they'll be like, oh my God, this is just like Lush, but cooler. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not Lush. Like, I'm not Lush. But, you know, it's cool. Again, like I said, for what Lush has done for the market, they've definitely made it very easy for soap makers to do their thing. And I don't hate them for that. But, you know, the other recent stuff is weird. So I don't know. I guess maybe I just didn't want to be like actively duping Lush all of the time in my line. And that's why I just sort of steered clear of Nurture Soap in its entirety. So this is another Lush dupe, is the point of all of that. Now we have everything in a nice kind of light to medium trace with all of this. And that's a good medium trace. And I'm just going to do a random swirl to get all of the soap into the mold, into the slab, to take a skewer to it and do all the things. Then I will cover this with plastic wrap and stick it in the oven so it can go through a nice gel, which will help with the castor oil and the cocoa butter and the coconut oil in there, help create something that's like bendable, right? And so that's the whole goal with all of that. And so I'm going to take this little skewer that I made for another soap challenge for the mantra, right? Pretty sure. And, you know, just randomly pull it through the entire batch of soap all the way down to the bottom. But even then, it's still not going to super change the bottom pattern much, which you will see after this is set up for a few hours. This will set up for about 5 hours before I take it out of the mold and bend it into a circle so I can put it inside of the column and then pour into that. So that's what's going to happen now. Let's go check out the bending. And it has been about 5 hours. We're pulling this out of the mold. I have covered both sides in plastic wrap just in case I need to take a rolling pin to it. So you can kind of treat it like you would like pastry dough, like a pie crust or something at this stage. It's still fairly soft, and so you can totally wrap both sides in plastic wrap and take the rolling pin to it and flatten it out a little bit more if it's not quite the right size. So super option with all of that. Unfortunately, we have some cracking going on. The heat change from the oven to the shop was actually pretty significant because the shop is sitting around like 56 degrees at this point, and the oven was sitting at like, you know, 110, and so it's doing weird things. So I'm going to have, you know, some issues wrapping it, which is again another reason why the plastic wrap's super good for that. And then we just put it in the mold and do the things. Now, I did also create with another batch of soap some embeds to put in the middle of the rim because I thought that would be kind of cute to have a circle inside a circle for this because, you know, why not? Yeah. And this batch here is a 2-pound batch of soap to fill the cavity. And it's sort of insert soap here, right? It doesn't really matter what kind of soap recipe you use for the middle. Just, you know, one that you like, one that has good bubbles, all of the things. And so we're just going to go white with this guy, which as I'm looking at this, I realized that I actually did want to go a lighter color for the interior, like that icy blue that was in the palette picture. And I forgot to do that. I guess I was just already so irritated that I was messing around with the stupid rimmed soap that I just didn't. Now, when this went into the rim, my head was all up in the way, so I couldn't really show you, but there was some cracking, and that was completely fine. I just rolled it into the liner, and then just took my finger and spread and, you know, sort of smooshed out all the cracks from the inside, and, you know, went from there. So that's that was that. The cracks should be fine. There shouldn't be any sort of real seepage because there were just a few cracks that I had to sort of seal up, and then I sealed up, you know, the edges. And that's rising because my soap batter is actually a little bit thin, the stuff that I'm pouring into the middle. So that's fun. It's centered though, so that's nice. That's something, right? And now it's starting to not get centered. So it's still rising. It's doing its thing, and I'm going to maybe hope that it stays there. Or maybe, yeah, that works too. Just totally stick a skewer in it. That totally works. Skewer it down, push it down some more. The weight of the skewer will keep it there, theoretically. We'll see. Not real sure at this point, but you know, it's still kind of centered, so that's good. Yay! I think this is going to be cute. So the colors for the little interior circle, also a cold process batch made out of the same colors that we used for the rim. So, you know, colors are represented in 2 different places, and now that's super not centered. That's not centered. And I am talking about the centering for a reason, because I've already seen this cut, and it's a thing, is the thing. And look, it's still rising. Let's go check the cut. And on to the cut, and the soap is super shiny right now because I actually put this mold in the freezer and froze it before I took it out. Just because that's sort of habit with a column for me. You don't have to do that when it has a liner, but you know, I did anyway. And yeah, it looks pretty good. There's no signs of the soap in the middle having seeped through, and there's no cracking signs, and so that's good. It's still way too firm to be running through my cutter though, so, you know, terrifying. But, you know, all a thing. And oh no, it moved. It moved. That sucks. That interior circle shifted, and I'm not happy. But that's kind of cute. Kind of looks like owl eyes. Yeah, I can get behind that. We can totally actually call it something like watching you or owl something. I'll figure out a name. My names are always like cute eventually, but my first blush at them is they're rarely cute. They're usually like, what? That makes no sense. Looking at you. I don't, whatever. But that looks like the world. That's cool. Like Earth. 2021 Earth. Oh, God. Yeah, that. Those are very cute though. As far as the rim goes, yeah, it totally worked. It's a little bit thicker than what Amy Warden, you know, wants for all of this. But, you know, it's not an actual challenge that I'm like submitting anything to. But I would feel comfortable submitting that for sure. Yeah, rim soaps are a thing, you guys. You can do all kinds of cool things with them. I mean, I showed you the rectangular rimmed soap, the Neapolitan soap in the summertime. And that was fun. I actually like doing it that way way more than doing it this way. That one's kind of centered. Just because the bending into a round form, it's always a huge pain. Like, it really is. And you have the potential for the rim failing more often than you don't, depending on a number of factors. And really, the biggest factor with something like this isn't really the consistency of your batter. Your recipe is important, sure, but really it's more skill more than anything else. And, you know, some people got it, some people don't. But for now, you know, those are super cute. I'd ship those. They are that is day 283, the rimmed soap challenge. This one is my bar.
So as I was like chit-chatting about the rim soap and doing all the things, I looked down and realized I have food on my shirt right there, which is so gross and awful. And I think I like picked it all off, but maybe not. And I'm not going to refilm the rest of it. So, you know, rewind it if you didn't notice the food and laugh at me, or I don't even know if it's going to show. But yeah, there was that. So if it's different, it's because I noticed it and took it off, if you did notice. So yes, those are the rim soaps. And yeah, that's not only tedious, it's also kind of complicated in that you really do need to know your fatty acid profiles and rely pretty heavily on soaps that are on a soap recipe that's going to be pliable. So I would recommend working with the soap recipe that you would use for like a soap dough, for example, in order to ensure that you're going to get that good pliability, as well as paying attention to when you are either molding, in our case, because we poured a 1 pound batch that I then molded, right? Or cutting the top off of a bigger batch of soap, which I never do for these because I don't want to. And so I do it this way instead. And it worked out great. It was all fine. If you are interested in seeing what Georgia May comes up with for her version of rim soap. Now, again, she's never done rim soaps. So we'll see what she does with hers. And she may very well kick me after she finishes hers. Because again, this one's a little bit complicated. So out of all the soap challenges, this is one that I'm like, whew, I don't like making these. But yes, you should subscribe to the channel is the point of that whole statement. If you're already subscribed, hey, awesome. You can come back tomorrow and see how Georgia May does and see if she kicks me at the end of it. And she legitimately might. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys joining me for another round of 365 days of soap. As always, I am out of here for today. I will see you guys all again tomorrow for another round of Amy Warden Soap Challenge fun. Bye.